Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, January 19th, 2026. I'm Walter Bass. This is Truth News. And as promised, we are going to keep covering the child sex trafficking cult of the United States government. Again, today we're going to cover Bohemian Grove, where they do their rituals, which has already been covered by Alex Jones. A couple other people, and this place is infamous. It was mentioned in the P. Diddy case by Jonathan Odie. And before I get into it, I want to define cult one more time. A group with intense devotion to a person, idea, or object, often characterized by manipulative control, isolation, extreme beliefs, and exploitation. That is the definition of a cult. Because some of you are probably going to say, "Oh, Walter, you're crazy. Oh, this whole satanic stuff." I think it is pure evil to do any harm to an innocent child. And what the government is doing to millions of children is a level of evil I never even knew existed in reality. That being said, Bohemian Grove in Monte Rio, California. Everybody knows California. Rob McCoy, the Harvest Church, child sex trafficking, corruption. Bohemian Rio, California, founded in San Francisco in 1872. You know what else is in San Francisco? Michael Aquino's Temple of the Set, the Satanic Church, one of the largest in the world, actually, is located in San Francisco. The Bohemian Grove Club is a private men's club, and this has been around since 1872. Originally, it was an innocent, just gathering. It started out, a guy was going to New York, and they had like a going away camp out for him over a weekend. It was like a weekend retreat. And so that's how it started. And then it evolved into this rich and elite haven where they gather and do these evil, sick, sadistic things. And you can look up Alex Jones, Bohemian Grove. He's got videos of it where they are actually performing satanic rituals. And this place has 24/7 security, 365 days a year. And it's an outdoor venue. It's where redwood trees are, giant redwood trees that are hundreds of years old. I've actually visited Redwood National Forest in California. Those trees are pretty amazing to experience in real life. So, the Waldorf Astoria in New York actually decorated with branches from Bohemia Grove. So evidently this place holds some type of significance because you can get tree branches from anywhere. Why specifically Bohemia Grove for the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York? And the club motto, and you can look all of this stuff up online. This is just basic research. The club motto is "Weaving spiders come not here." Think about that. Weaving spiders come not here. Which basically means don't do a deception here. This is a place of neutrality, a neutral ground. To put in an analogy, it's like what's the name of the place in John Wick? The Concierge Hotel, or whatever the name of that hotel is, where you cannot conduct business on hotel grounds. It's kind of like that, like where all these evil people meet, but you can't be evil in this place. They're all on the same team while they're here. So, the honor of John of Nepomuk, Nepomuk, who was thrown into the Vitava River after being executed by King Wenceslas for disobedience and not divulging the Queen's secrets in 1393. So that is their mascot. Their mascot is a person with their finger over their lips like that. And it's to honor this guy. He was a martyr for the seal of confession. Now, I'm going to remind you, you can look all this up. Just Google Bohemian Grove, California, and you'll start looking into all the research and all the facts I'm giving to you. This place, their statue, an idol that they worship there, is a martyr who was thrown into the Vitava River after being executed by the king for not divulging the queen's secrets. So, and that was in 1393, and it's called the Martyr for the Seal of Confession. And again, this place is mentioned from 2000 with Alex Jones. It's been mentioned by Jonathan Odie in who was Diddy's sex slave, and that's all documented in recorded testimony and police questioning. And I started thinking about this whole cult thing, and Candace Owens and Mr. Let Go and a couple other people were talking about how they perform rituals, how this whole Charlie Kirk situation with the tent where you can take selfies in the tent where Charlie Kirk was assassinated, how it's ritualistic, how it looks like they're performing rituals like right out in the open in front of our eyes. And I started thinking about that, and I thought, well, if they're performing sacrifices and rituals, surely there's got to be a connection. Like maybe there's a reason why they would sacrifice. And then I started thinking about Charlie Kirk being assassinated September 10th, and then the 9/11 Trade Centers on September 11th. And I thought, September seems to be a month of sacrifice. And it turns out September sacrificed is tied to Judaism and the Abraham sacrificing his son, and Yom Kippur, which is the most religious holiday the most sacred holiday for Jews, is about sacrifice. And the high priest, historically performs rituals to atone for sins. So, and we're going to get more into this, how this cult is based on just pure evil and satanic affiliations. And I think it's pretty obvious now with what's going on in the world that this is pure evil. These people are not normal. Normal people don't behave like this. The TPUSA Erica Kirk, she's not normal. A normal grieving wife doesn't look like that and act like that after her husband was assassinated. These are not normal. And it started making me think, like, what is wrong with these people? Like, where's their humanity? Where's their empathy and compassion and love and normal human emotions? And then as I started doing research for all of this stuff, I started to realize they're all in a cult. They are all in an evil, sacrificial, satanic cult. And this has been mentioned. Some people call it the Illuminati. Other people call it other things. The Cool Kids Club, whatever you want to call it. But we've heard stories for years through different internet people. Kanye West was talking about how they make you sacrifice a family member to be rich and famous. And you can go through the list of celebrities who have had tragedy happen and then all of a sudden became famous afterwards. Like Erica Kirk. Who had heard of Erica Kirk before Charlie Kirk was assassinated? Who? I didn't know who she was. I didn't really know Charlie Kirk was married, and I watched Charlie Kirk videos. I'd see him on my reels sometimes. He was very interesting. I thought his take on the Bible was very, very solid. I know he was controversial. I know a lot of people didn't agree with all of his views, and you're not going to agree with anyone all of the time. You're not going to agree with your mother, your sister, your wife, your husband all of the time. No two people agree. It's just life. We're all individuals, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with anybody all the time. It's okay to disagree. So back to the satanic occult. We were at historically the high priest performs rituals to atone for sins. Now I want to get into all of these members, the attendees that I've looked up into the Bohemian Grove. And it's Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, J. Edgar Hoover, George H.W. Bush, Arnold Palmer, Neil Armstrong, Henry Kissinger, Clarence Thomas, Dr. Warner von Braun, Oppenheimer, Teddy Roosevelt. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a guest speaker there in 2010. And the reason I wanted to cover all these names is because it seems odd to me that we have several presidents, Nixon, Reagan, Kissinger, and then Bush, and then we have Arnold Palmer, a golfer, a pro golfer, Arnold Palmer. And then we have Neil Armstrong, who supposedly walked on the moon, Neil Armstrong. And then we have Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice for the United States. And then we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, Hollywood actor turned governor. And I thought this doesn't seem normal for these people to be hanging out. The presidents, maybe. And then Dr. Warner von Braun. Dr. Warner von Braun was a Nazi who was in charge of aerospace and rocket engineering for Hitler. And I thought, why are Nazis this guy was one of the top research and development guys for aerospace engineering and rocket design for the Nazis under Hitler. And I thought Dr. Warner von Braun, Schwarzenegger, Oppenheimer was the father of the Manhattan Project, the atomic bomb. You've seen the movie probably. It just came out a couple of years ago. And P. Diddy was also there. So what do P. Diddy and Arnold Palmer and Neil Armstrong and George Bush and Dr. Warner von Braun and Clarence Thomas, what could these people possibly have in common? I mean, I don't see personality likeness. I don't see hobbies or interest likeness. And all of these people, and there's many, many more, they're lifetime members to this club. A lot of them are indiscreet. I'd never heard of them. There's quite a few of them. I scrolled through all the names, picked out the ones that people would recognize, and I haven't done the research on the unrecognizable names, and I don't know how much I'll be able to find on them. Excuse me. But, I mean, if that doesn't scream cult to you, that some of the most rich and famous people from all different walks of life are all gathering in this Bohemian Grove place. It's an annual event too, once a year. Once a year they all meet there. And I'm sure there's a lot of other big names there. And I encourage everyone to go look on Alex Jones, Google Alex Jones Bohemian Grove. He's got undercover video of it. And he actually did a show about it, how it was satanic rituals and all of this stuff. And Alex Jones, I believe it's the report on the cremation of care ceremony in 2000. The cremation of care ceremony. So you can look that up. And if you really want to dive more into it, do your own research, there's a Bohemian Grove story by John Gillen Creed. That's John Gillen, Gillen, Creed, Cread. And he talks about this Bohemian Grove story, and he goes into the child sacrifice and all that. And then that got me thinking, like, again, we're back to children and trafficking and the evil going on. And I thought, who does this? Where does this type of behavior and thought process come from? And as always, I go to the Bible, because the Bible pretty much can answer most questions about most people. And if you don't understand the Bible or the psychology of the Bible, you should really watch Jordan Peterson, because as much as like a John MacArthur who can preach about the Bible, Jordan Peterson can relate the psychology of the Bible. Why people think like this, where do these type of thought processes, patterns of behavior, where they derive from biblically? And he can contrast and put similarities between psychological patterns and biblical behavior. Jordan Peterson is very, very well versed on psychology as well as the Bible. Quite a very intelligent man. I've listened to him for years. So the child sacrifice comes from a god called Moloch, Moloch. And I heard this deity mentioned, I believe it was on Ian Carroll's show. He had a guest on. And his guest had mentioned these people who worship Moloch. And I thought, what is Moloch? And I knew I'd read it in the Bible. And I just read a verse the other day about do not give your children to Moloch. And that appears in the Hebrew Bible several times, primarily in Leviticus. And that's the book I read the other day, is from Leviticus, which I still have open right here, I believe. And it says, you shall not give any of your offspring to offer them to Molech. Molech, it's spelled in the Bible. There's many different ways to spell. There's Greek, Latin, Aramaic, and then it's transferred to English for the King James Version. So if you start looking into this Molech, however you want to spell it, Molek or Moloch, there is a lot of stuff about this deity and how he has been worshipped as a sacrifice for children for decades. And Moloch translates in Judaism to their king. That's what it translates to. And he's a Canaanite god. And what it is in order to gain power or influence or control over, systems like financial systems, countries, and things like that, supposedly you sacrifice children to this god in return. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Moloch, if you look at images, you can Google all this. It's all over Wikipedia. I've done a lot of research. Moloch is portrayed as a bull-headed idol. Now, you ask yourself, where have you seen a bull-headed idol in the United States? I can name 2 places. And I've been to one of them personally, and I have photos. Bull of Wall Street. There is a bronze bull statue on Wall Street. Many tourists go take pictures of it. And there's also the Merrill Lynch emblem, which we know Merrill Lynch, Jonathan Aquinos, the Satan worshiper and founder of Temple of Set, the Satanic Temple in San Francisco, he worked for Merrill Lynch and was licensed to trade stocks at the New York Stock Exchange. Do you see how this Satanism is crossing into the financial systems and global markets, especially embedded in our country? And the symbolism of it and the rituals and how they hide it in plain sight. And I thought about this the other day. Murderers and rapists and robbers, do they try their best to blend in? I mean, do you really know who's a murderer and who's a rapist until they get arrested and you see them do the perp walk on television? How many times on TV have you seen someone get arrested for just vile and heinous crimes? And they get arrested and then they start interviewing. You see on TV, they interview the neighbors, and the neighbors are like, we had no idea. He was quiet. He stayed to himself. We had no idea he was a killer. He never said anything. Evil hides in plain sight, obviously. And these people are evil. And that is the purpose of me exposing all this and talking about all this, is because, like I've said time and time again, I am sick of people hurting children. I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of what our government is doing to we the people of this country. And all I have is my voice and the truth. And I'm going to use them to the best of my ability. So now that we know Molech is portrayed as a bull-headed idol like Wall Street, Merrill Lynch, Lamborghini. Who owns Lamborghinis? Normal people? No. It's only for the rich and elite of this satanic occult. And I guarantee you most of them have Lamborghinis. I know Trump had a Lamborghini. I know a lot of people in Hollywood have had Lamborghinis. I know a lot of rich people that have Lamborghinis, not normal people. And their emblem is a bull. I'm not saying there is definitely a connection between that, but I find it odd that Wall Street has a bull, Merrill Lynch's symbol is a bull, and Lamborghini's symbol is a bull. And these are all tied to rich, elite, and powerful people. So Moloch actually appears in film and books like John Milton's Paradise Lost. Now, Paradise Lost, I have not read this book yet. I've been meaning to, but I haven't found it yet, but I will get it. John Milton's Paradise Lost is a book on good and evil, and from what I understand, it's a spiritual book, and it lays out how evil people operate, how Satan operates. And Jordan Peterson does a really good breakdown. You can go on YouTube and look at Jordan Peterson, Paradise Lost, and he does a really good dissection of this book and breaks it all down. And like I said, Jordan Peterson when it comes to dissecting information, especially spiritual or primitive or psychological things you want to know about or try to understand, Jordan Peterson's my go-to guy about that. He was a 20-year clinical psychologist. He interviewed the worst of people, serial killers, all these just sick and evil people. And he has amazing information and research on human beings, psychology, behavior patterns, and why people act the way they do. And it relates all back to the Bible, which the Bible is the foundation of life. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. You don't have to believe in gravity. You can go jump off a building. You can say gravity isn't real. I can't see gravity. I can't smell gravity. I can't touch gravity. I can't taste gravity. You can say I've heard of gravity and I think it's nonsense. I'm going to go jump off a building and you let me know what happens. Because I assure you, God is just as real as gravity. And so is this stuff I'm discussing, which has all been documented. I encourage everyone, please go look it up. So, in contemporary Jewish and general literature, Moloch is used as a metaphor for any system or blind force that demands the sacrifice of a society's future or children for the sake of short-term gain, such as war, extreme market forces, or unbridled technological advancement. So I want you to think about that. Think about where these people, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Donald Trump, which Donald Trump was born into money, so he had a solid start, which a lot of these people are third, fourth, fifth generation wealthy people. They come from what's called old money. The Kennedys, people like that. But the question is, how can these people like Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, who can barely form a sentence? Elon Musk is high on ketamine most of the days. He's self-admittedly high on ketamine all the time. You're telling me this guy is some type of genius? And it makes me think of Henry Ford. Because when Henry Ford started Ford Motor Company and the first assembly line for mass production of motor vehicles, the government hauled Henry Ford into court because they didn't like it. They didn't like him, and they didn't think he deserved to have the wealth and power that he was accumulating. So while he was on trial, I've actually read this story. While he was on trial, they were trying to trick him up, and they were asking him all these trick questions, about engineering and design and all of this stuff. And Henry Ford, they asked him a question, and the attorney was badgering him and saying, "Can you not answer the question? Do you not know the answer to the question?" And Henry Ford said, "I don't need to know the answer to the question. I employ people who know the answers to those questions, and I have a button on my desk, and all I have to do is press that button, and someone will come into my office that knows the answer to any question you ask me." And I think that's how a lot of these billionaires are operating. They're not very bright. They're not intelligent at all. They just have money to pay intelligent people and bright people to come and do the heavy lifting and the hard work for them. And they just go out and parade in front of a camera and convince you that they're the brains of the operation. Like Peter Thiel is some sort of super genius because he's a billionaire. Or Elon Musk is some sort of super genius because he's a billionaire. These people aren't very smart. I mean, let's be realistic. Go watch some interviews of Elon Musk. Listen to how he speaks. Look at his eyes and his expression. You can say he's on the spectrum for autism. You can blame all of that stuff. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. These people are part of a satanic occult. They are handpicked to parade in front of a camera, and they all use their money and power to conduct evil. And this Moloch really explained to me a lot about why they're doing this to our children, why they're selling, raping, murdering our children in mass scale. Look at Palestine. Look at what the Jews have done in Palestine, mass murdering children, just shooting them for no reason, waiting in line to get food, murdering children. Who does that? What kind of human being murders a child for absolutely no reason? An evil human being. That's who. So we're nearing the 30-minute mark, which I try to keep these videos at 30 minutes. I encourage everyone to please look up Bohemian Grove, look up Moloch, M-O-L-O-C-H, do some research and homework. And we're going to close with a Bible verse as we always do. I'm not sure what tomorrow's show is going to be about. I'll have to do some research and homework. I might delve into the Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk situation. That seems to be a hot topic right now. I've already covered some of that we know it was a military operation. We know the government was involved. We know Israel and Netanyahu more than likely ordered the hit because Charlie didn't want to go with Israel anymore. And it was orchestrated by a team of people. And we all know that. We're not stupid. So we're going to close tonight. And I'm going to go from Peter. And we're going to go Peter. Let's go with Peter 2:20. For if, after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, they are again entangled in them and overcome, the latter end is worse for them than the beginning. For it would have been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than having known it to turn away from the holy commandment delivered to them. But it has happened to them according to the true proverb, a dog returns to its own vomit, and a sow having washed to her wallowing in the mire. And what that's saying is, once you understand that there is a God and none of us are him, and that Jesus Christ is the only way to eternal life, and if you know this, if at any time you were brought to Jesus Christ and you turned your back and said, I'm not going to do that, it's better to have never known him at all than to know him and turn away from him. Because you knew what you were supposed to do. You knew the rules of life. You were told his holy commandments. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, don't murder, don't commit adultery, the 10 commandments. And that's another thing I don't understand. Why does everyone hate Jesus and God and the Bible so much? Why? Who thinks murdering, lying, cheating, stealing, committing adultery, having idols, and worshiping money, who thinks all of these things are good attributes for humanity at all? I don't see the result, any positive result coming from worshiping money or gold or silver or sex. I don't see anything good coming out of murder, adultery, lying, cheating, stealing, being jealous of your neighbor. I don't see coveting. I don't see anyone. I don't understand what the big hate with God and Jesus is. I really don't. And as for the last verse, when it talks about a dog returns to his own vomit, there was a time in my life, and I think many of us have experienced drug use or alcohol abuse. I lived in New York City for 10 years, and every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I worked 6-7 days a week, and I'm a blue-collar guy, work hard, party hard. That used to be my motto, work hard, party hard. And I can remember going to the bars Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I used to go to a place called Cactus Jack's on 42nd and 2nd near Times Square, a few blocks over from Times Square, 4 or 5 blocks. And Cactus Jack's, me and my buddies would get there at about 11 p.m. and we would leave the bar at about 4 a.m. and we would drink all night. We had what's called open bar. We'd go in, we knew people there, and they would just serve us drinks all night long for flat rate, 30, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, whatever it was. And we would drink all night long. And I would do that on Thursday night. Leave the bar at 4 a.m., get home at 4:30 a.m., 4:30, 4:45, depending on because we would all share a cab and we'd get dropped off at different times. Sometimes I would be first out, sometimes I'd be last out of the cab. It just depends. And I can remember getting home on a Thursday or a Friday morning at 4:30, 5 in the morning. And I'd have to be up at 6:30 in the morning to go to work after drinking all night. And I would feel horrible, horrible. And guess what I would do Friday night? I would do it again. And guess what I'd do the next Thursday night? I would do it again. And I did that work hard, party hard. And I think a lot of us, a dog returning to its own vomit. For some reason, we know things are bad for us and we know things don't make us feel good, whether it's eating crap food, whether it's laying around binge watching Netflix all day, whether it's going to the bar and drinking, whether it's hanging out with that person that gets on your nerves and you can't stand them, but you just keep going back. You just keep going back. That's a dog returning to its own vomit. That's what that is. That's a sow having been washed and returning to the mire, the mud, the muck. And I encourage everyone to work on yourselves, clean your life up, clean your mind up. We talked about psychological warfare, how this government's using mainstream media and these apps to brainwash and psychologically abuse people. I encourage everyone, read something positive, uplifting, and truthful every day. Don't read fiction. Don't read romance novels. Don't read Tom Clancy. Don't read James Patterson, Dean Koontz. Get out of that stuff. Read something with substance. Read some Dale Carnegie. Read the Bible. Read, I got The Man God Uses. Here's some of my books. The Man God Uses, Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. The Book of Enoch, The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis, highly educated, spiritual person. There are so many books to read, so many ways to clean your mind and clean your life up. Do something for yourself every day. Read, exercise, meditate, be a good person. Be good to you. And like I said just yesterday, the whole lying thing with everyone, from Donald Trump to Fox News, ABC, all the mainstream, everybody, the FBI. I'm at day 1,593 of my son being child sex trafficked by the government. And for 1,593 days, they have attacked me, blamed me, ridiculed me, patronized me, laughed at me, mocked me, called me crazy, called me stupid, and lied and lied and lied. And I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And the more I dig into this research of this cult, I'm beginning to understand now. But I want to say, the first person you lie to when you lie to anyone is yourself. And when you lie to yourself, you will lose yourself. You won't know who you are. You'll have no clue who you are because you've been lying to yourself. How can you be a solid, real, content person with yourself if you lie to yourself? That is the worst thing you can possibly do psychologically and emotionally, is lie to yourself. It really is. And I encourage everyone, stop lying to yourself. Like Candace Owens said tonight on her show, just stop lying. Just stop. Just stop. If you can't be honest enough to tell somebody something, stop doing it. Just stop. I mean, if you're doing stuff you shouldn't be doing, that you have to lie to cover it up, just stop doing it. Don't keep lying to cover it up. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to go away. It's really not. So that is our show for tonight. This is Truth News. I'm Walter Bass. I make these videos to bring truth and awareness to child sex trafficking by the government that my son's a victim of, as well as millions of other children. And we all know what's going on. And the best way to combat this is to expose it. Because usually when you bring the darkness into the light, it don't handle it well. And people don't like the truth. And that's because they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. So thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I just started it. And I will keep making this content and doing the best I can to just tell the truth and make the world a better place. Have a good night.